Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I guess the applause was for Anna and more than you. I am very happy to be here today to present you House of Europe. The name of the program has already been mentioned a couple of times by the ambassador and by Anna. And it is true that in many ways, House of Europe will act as a continuation of Culture Bridges. And in some ways, it will also go beyond what Culture Bridges was doing. And I think if you have a look at the figures that Anna presented us with, it is clear that a lot has been achieved, but there is still a great need for further support of cultural activity and exchange between Ukraine and the European Union, and that's why we will have House of Europe in place. So I will give you a brief outlook on the key facts about House of Europe, and then we'll particularly shed some light into what is in for you, people from the cultural sector. So some key facts. The overall volume of the program is 12.2 million euros. The money comes from the EU. The project is almost completely EU funded. It is implemented by a consortium of unique international cultural organizations, unique being the association of the EU member states international cultural organizations, namely the Goethe Institute, which has the lead, the British Council, the Institut Français, and the Czech Center. As for the timing, the inception phase of the program has started in April 2019. And on that note, I may add that what you see here is actually not yet an official announcement of the program, but rather something that you might call a sneak preview. You will see that we have the logos of the EU and of the partners here. We don't have a logo of House of Europe. The reason is that we don't have a logo yet, because we are still about to start. The active phase of the program will start in autumn 2019, which is also when the project will be officially launched and kicked off. And the program will then be active for 3 years. What is House of Europe all about? So in very simple words, you may know that the EU is doing a lot in Ukraine, accompanying ongoing reform processes, for example, through technical support on a governmental level, on the other hand, supporting grassroots activism. And House of Europe is in a way ranging in between those, because it's focused on professionals, on people like you, giving them the opportunity to engage into exchange with their counterparts in EU member states, and doing so rather not on an institutional level, but really on a personal level. It's really about people-to-people exchange. The program is relatively broad, targeting 6 different sectors. One of them being culture and creative industries, followed by education, health, media, social enterprises, and youth work. And on another note, the program is, if you want so, divided in or consists of 3 main components. A, that is probably the component that is most similar, most directly evolving from Culture Bridges, which is all about mobilities and professional exchange. Component B, well, I may say that component A mostly works from Ukraine to the EU, so mostly in that direction. Component B actually is bidirectional, and therefore more about dialogue and actual cooperation, people doing things, doing projects together. C, that is actually the component from which derives the title of the program, House of Europe. There was the observation that despite of the fact that the EU is providing for a lot of opportunities for Ukrainians, and so do the EU member states, in some cases there's lack of visibility and lack of a single entry point for all those opportunities. And that's how the idea of the House of Europe was born, as to providing such an entry point, such a single place where those opportunities could be accessed and where information on those can be gathered. And this is called, within the framework of House of Europe now, the Information and Coordination Hub. Each of those components contains several, quite a lot of dedicated project activities or project lines formats. I won't go into detail about all of those because not all of those are directly targeted at the culture sector. I mentioned that House of Europe covers several sectors, although culture and creative industries is clearly the largest, and the majority of those project lines is actually targeted at professionals from the culture sector. So, to relate to you, what is in for you? We have component A, B, and C. A, mobilities and professional exchange. So that would be, as Anna presented, similarly as to what Anna presented, individual mobilities for job shadowing, internships, to do networking, to prepare projects directed from Ukraine to EU member states. And while this is an application-based procedure, House of Europe will also provide for study tours, capacity building tours, actually giving people the opportunity to exchange with European counterparts and to take experience back home to Ukraine in formats that are curated by the House of Europe project team. Component B, dialogue and cooperation. Not very astonishingly, this is about support of international cooperation projects. Differently to Culture Bridges, this is really about international cooperation. So at least one partner needs to be from the European Union. This will support projects starting from a smaller scale and up to 20,000 and even 50,000 euros, very likely, in well-reasoned cases even going beyond that. A subcomponent of this will foster support of cultural infrastructure, which is an area that we feel lacks support or lacks grant opportunities so far. On the program activities that are curated by the House of Europe team are artistic residencies. As I said, working bi-directionally, so artists or cultural managers from Ukraine could travel to EU member states and the other way around as well. On a more general note, there's also support for translation. There is, in general, training and capacity building for people from the culture and creative sector. There are youth camps, which may, in some cases, intersect with offers for people from the culture sector. And we will also have an intra-Ukrainian university exchange complementing Erasmus Plus offers on an intra-Ukrainian basis, because the component B is really about dialogue and intercultural understanding, and thus framing this both internationally and intranationally also within Ukraine. Finally, the Information and Cooperation Hub, the actual core of the House of Europe. The offline part is the House of Europe, will be the House of Europe. There will be a physical place in Kiev where the House of Europe team will be sitting, and where people can come and get information on both on opportunities offered by House of Europe and other opportunities offered by European Union member states, and other stakeholders. Obviously, this is mirrored in an online environment. There will be an online House of Europe as well, which is a website offering support for applications and providing the link to other information hubs, other information desks, for example. And then finally, we had the feeling that in Kiev, we have quite a great crowd of people from the cultural sector assembled who are well aware of what is going on. But yet the picture turns quite different as we move into the regions and into the periphery of the country. Hence, we want to set the House of Europe traveling. We want to send it moving into more remote areas of Ukraine, and therefore have dedicated project formats targeting mid-sized and small-sized cities lacking cultural infrastructure, as to provide information on opportunities and to create links and networks with those and the people, the professionals from the cultural sector there as well. And finally, House of Europe will offer an alumni program which will also follow the Trans House of Europe approach and thus also connect with alumni of other programs beyond House of Europe. Where do we stand at the moment? As I said, we are at the very beginning. The inception phase of the program has started in April. We will officially launch the program in autumn 2019, which is also when the first open calls will be open. So that is when you will be able to apply for mobilities, for cooperation projects, and also for the curated program activities that we are preparing and setting up. The implementation of those, of most activities, will start early 2020 and will then be ongoing for the next 3 years. Thank you very much for your attention so far. I'm also happy to share our contact details. We would very much appreciate, as I say, we are in the very beginning. So this is not branded, this doesn't have a logo, we don't even have a website yet, we don't have a Facebook group. If you want to stay in touch with us, which we very much like to encourage you to do, then this is your only chance to drop us an email, the old-fashioned way. Send us an email, do it right away. We'll be happy. If you want to stay tuned for further information, once we launch the website, once we launch the Facebook channel, please drop us an email and we will definitely include you in the further communication. And I may also say that I'm not the only one from House of Europe team here. We are currently building up a team. Some of them are sitting there and will be happy to provide information for you as well. And the team is still growing, so if you're interested in becoming a part of the team of House of Europe, that is also an option to engage with us. Thank you very much.